cryptocurrencies as the price of Bitcoin rose sharply. Earlier today, users began reporting that Robinhood had halted instant deposits for crypto purchases, meaning they can only buy digital currencies with funds already deposited in their accounts. Now, new deposits can take up to 5 days to clear. Robinhood told CNBC it made that move due to extraordinary market conditions. Separately, Coinbase says it is looking into site outage issues itself, and we're going to monitor this situation. Bitcoin, as we've been talking about all morning, has risen dramatically after Elon Musk placed a hashtag Bitcoin in his bio on Twitter, leading to a mini frenzy that took place overnight. But as we're watching these frenzies take place within social media and then on these apps and on online brokerage accounts, it seems to be raising all sorts of questions about whether the system unto itself can handle it. Yeah, Joe?
Yeah. Anyone tweeting Elon greater than Ray? Did you see any of that? You know, Dalio said some stuff yesterday, and Bitcoin was like, nothing.
Ray was a little bit more reticent.
I know. But Elon says it, and it's like a SpaceX rocket taking off. Dalio says it, and people are like, really, Ray? 5 years late. Anyway, let's get to the stock story. Dominating investors' attention all this week, the surge in the shares of Gamestop and moves yesterday by retail brokerages like RobinHood to restrict trading. Gamestop is much higher this morning. Both Interactive Brokers and RobinHood are planning to ease trading curbs today. This comes after RobinHood said yesterday it was raising more than $1 billion from existing investors. It also drew at least $500 million on a line of credit from a group of banks in order to meet lending requirements from its central clearinghouse. And in an interview with Andrew Ross Sorkin on CNBC last night, RobinHood CEO Vlad Tenev said his company had stopped allowing users to buy shares in GameStop and 12 other stocks to protect the firm and to protect our customers. That move, though, sparked outrage among active traders in GameStop, like those in the WallStreetBets Reddit forum. One of the questions that's now emerging is whether Robinhood was right to protect its customers or if it unfairly denied them their right to choose how they deploy their own money at a critical moment. But we also now know that it wasn't just that. It was about protecting the firm. William Galvin is Massachusetts Secretary of State. Kevin O'Leary is chairman at O-Shares ETFs, Shark Tank co-host, CNBC contributor, rabid libertarian, free marketer, has no problem with any of this, and even says if they lose all their money, they need to learn. That's not the first time you've said something so callous and unfeeling, O'Leary. We'll get to that in a second. Let's start with the Secretary Galvin, though. Should regulators, is there something that needs to be done based on what the events of the past couple of weeks, Secretary?
Absolutely. No question about it. First of all, the whole issue here is not simply about an individual company or an individual issue. It's about the honesty of the marketplace and the reliability of the marketplace and the danger a defective and dishonest marketplace has to our economy. We're at a time of contracting economy. Having this type of activity going on the way it is just unacceptable. There's no doubt. The one thing that everyone in this discussion can agree about it, there is no reality to these trades and these issues that we've been speaking about. They're not based on anything other than speculation. And clearly when the market is engaging in that type of conduct, that is not good. I think it's a broader question, though. I think the whole issue of shorting has to be addressed. Whether shorting, whether it's by hedge funds or anybody, is in the best interest of the market. Clearly shorting is going to go on, and we need to have shorting as a defense in the marketplace. But there should be some restrictions on shorting. Maybe it's on the uptick. There needs to be a review by the national regulator on shorting in the marketplace. Having said that, in the short run, no pun intended, it is extremely important, I think, to get control of the marketplace back again. I voiced my concern the other day about the effect on unsophisticated investors. Obviously, some of those who think they're sophisticated took offense at that. I'm concerned about the marketplace, though, and I'm concerned about the spillover effect of all of this activity on other aspects of the market, ETFs, other aspects of the market, which weakens the overall situation. This is not a good time to be playing these games. The national regulator needs to get involved here and promptly. In addition to that, I think, as I suggested previously, if we didn't trade in these types of issue at all, this particular one I was speaking was GameStop, for a period of time, I think that would have an effect. I'm not just talking about those who trade through Reddit or individual investors. I'm talking about people across the board. There needs to be a review of this entire conduct. This is extremely dangerous to the marketplace and dangerous to our economy.
What do you think, Kevin?
I don't agree with any of that. The truth is the market has always been a speculative place. No, but I think you have to hear the other side of this, Bill, because at the end of the day, there's some very powerful forces in play here that are actually good. So let me take a shot at it. The definition of the market is speculation. When you buy and stay long a stock, you're speculating the profits you hope are going to come finally appear, and you take that risk. The best thing we could do for this market now is leave it alone and just shine the light of transparency on it. If you are short, let it be transparent. You now run a new risk that these effective social media vigilantes are going to come after you and squeeze you as a short. That's going to make a lot of hedge funds think a second time before they try and go short stocks, which I think is great. But here's the point that I think everybody is missing. 4 or 5 years ago, we had 100 million Americans with nothing set aside for their retirements. We still do. And that's because our educational system, including the one in Massachusetts where I had my kids and they grew up in, best schools in the world, I would argue, they taught them nothing about investing. And then along comes a platform like RobinHood, and all of a sudden, kids in their 20s and 30s that would never get touched by Money Center Bank or an online broker because they're not a profitable account. They only have a few $100s to invest. Vlad and his team create this platform and now have millions of people learning about the ways of the market. And the market, even for sophisticated investors.
They're learning by losing, though. They're learning by losing.
Every investor loses money, Bill. Every loser. Everyone learns from the market.
I don't think we...
So you're going to protect me from losing money? Are you kidding? Speculation is definition of the market.
I don't kid.
Yeah, the bottom line is when you put money in harm's way in the market, you risk it. That will always be the way after both you and I are gone. And the more regulation you put on it, the more you hurt it. Because some people to investing a millisecond is an investment, and others 10 years. And you shouldn't have the right to define it for them. Let the market do that. That's what the market does. If we want viable capital markets, you have to let the market be the market. Just shine transparency on it. Don't try and make rules that have all kinds of second consequences that you can't determine at this point.
There is no transparency. There is no transparency here.
It's more transparent today.
In many aspects.
You can't say that what happened over the last 48 hours, the last 2 trading sessions, wasn't driven by transparency. We've never had millions of people at night talking to each other in social media saying, there's a hedge fund that's short, let's go get them. You know, you want to stick it to the man? I have no problem with it.
Being made. The problem is, in order to have transparency, you have to have some certainty, and there is no certainty in any of this. There's wild speculation based on nothing. That is not an honest marketplace.
I'm sorry, but you're going to have to live with speculation. You're always going to have
speculation. I can live with based on
investing.
Rationality. Rational speculation is one thing. Dishonesty.
How do you know that GameStop executives aren't going to take advantage of this situation and build a brand and make a pivot just like Netflix did when they were shipping out CDs in the mail? You don't know.
Because they've shown
you have no idea. Either do I.
They haven't even raised any capital on it. If they were going to be doing that, why wouldn't they be raising capital now to try to do that? They're not.
Well, maybe they will. We don't know. That's the market. My whole point is if they can raise capital at these prices, they should.
What I do know is many people who are investing in this have absolutely no idea why they're getting into it. They just think it's a train they don't want to miss. And I fear many of them will lose. I also think it's going to have effects on other aspects of the marketplace. This is not healthy for our economy at this very fragile time.
Hey, Secretary Galvin, you might like this, Kevin. Back in 1982 when Apple came out, I guess, are you familiar with this, Secretary Galvin, that Massachusetts didn't want anyone buying? Yep. they wouldn't let anyone buy the shares of Apple because they were way too speculative, and they thought people might...
That was before my time.
I know,
I'm not sure
is that not... Well, I mean, is it that when things go absolutely bonkers and a state, a nanny state or whatever you want to call it, gets involved.
Well, it's not a nanny state. I mean, giving people honest advice.
Well, you can't protect everyone from everything.
It's not. We have a
anyone drive in
reputation and
car.
a deserved one of protecting investors. We believe in honesty. That's what we want. Yes, we want transparency. But when you're enticing people who have very little idea what they're doing, as some of these entities are, to invest in things that have no rational basis, that is not good. It does call for a national
Who decides what's
regulation,
rational, though, Secretary? I wouldn't want a politician deciding that, or...
Well, I think regulators
Bill,
who
you have
it's not
every
necessarily a
right.
politician, that's why we have a Securities and Exchange Commission.
You have every right to voice your concerns, along with the hundreds of millions of other people that are on social media voicing theirs too. And let the collective decide. That is the definition of the market. The beautiful thing that we call the market, that is the envy of the world, where people raise money and start companies. Leave it alone. Let it do its thing. That's exactly what it should do.
Kevin, let me just ask you this, though. If this goes wrong, and I think it's almost impossible to think that it won't, the quote-unquote speculators never blame themselves. They don't. And I imagine you will also find, on top of this, some levels of fraud, people taking advantage of people throughout this process. So the question is, do you believe that the American public is, quote-unquote, responsible enough and is willing to demonstrably accept the losses, and therefore there should be no... this goes to the social safety net and everything else. If people start filing for bankruptcy, who is supposed to pay their bills? Are taxpayers supposed to pay their bills? We as a country have tried to, the lessons of the financial crisis seem to be turned on their head in this instance. There have been this emphasis on trying to protect the little guy, and now everybody's saying don't protect the little guy, because by protecting the little guy, you're protecting him against the big guy, right? And it's sort of this unique dynamic. It's very hard to try to understand what the right answer is, but I think the answer is you are supposed to protect the little guy in the end from losses that they can't afford. You think that's not fair?
No, I think what's more important is that they educate, that they learn the ways of investing that they're going to need later in life to support themselves in retirement. And frankly, I am not a fan of saving any business. I hate the PPP loans. I hate the bailouts. I don't want any of that. I've said that many, many times. The only people I want to protect now with the capital we're printing are people that are unemployed while our economy shifts and turns into the digital behemoth it's about to become. I don't want to support airlines. I don't want to support AMC. I don't care if GameStop goes bankrupt. And I really don't care, Andrew, if a few hedge funds go to zero. Who cares? I think it's great.
I'm not talking about the hedge funds. The hedge funds. But what happens with the kids who are taking the stimulus checks, putting it on margin, and could eventually be filing for bankruptcy?
Oh, no, Andrew, they're learning how to be investors. They're learning about the risk of the market. Oh, no, that's a horrible thing. We forgot to educate them in high school, so let them learn in the real world, which is even better. I support Vlad. I support RobinHood. I think this is fantastic what's going on. Leave it alone. It's a great thing that's happening here.
Obviously, I disagree. I think you're putting the marketplace at risk. I think by introducing this type of wild speculation, you're putting our economy at risk at a very fragile time. I think it demands action by the national regulator, and I hope it happens very quickly.
Okay, we'll end on that note. Secretary Galvin, thank you for making your points. Kevin O'Leary, I don't know. You just need to just be more strident about things, and all this so wishy-washy all the time. You got to tell us what you really feel next time. Can you do that? You're free to do it.
Absolutely, Joe. Oh, okay. You know I love doing it.
God, we love having you too. I could use you on about. I put anyone in Secretary Galvin's seat, and I'll stick you on the other side, and I know that we're going to have a good conversation, and that's what we're looking for. It's cable. Anyway, and this extra, thanks guys, thank you. And this extra note guides and help you determine the best way forward.